So I knew that this would be a hot topic for us. Let me move to the other Weiner, Dr. Les Weiner. Give my thanks to Dr. Weiner and all the doctors at USC Neurology. Please give me an update on the T-cell study that I participated in.
Several years ago, we picked up on some work that had been done actually with Howard and his group and a number of other groups around the world, in which one thought that we could make a boutique vaccine in which if you treated the patient's lymphocytes in a certain way and selected their T cells, and if you put it back in to the patient, they would make an immune response which would kill the bad T cells. This was funded by the NIH, and it was also funded by the National MS Society. And we started with secondary progressive patients, which were far advanced in many cases, but in other cases not so far advanced. And we proceeded to divide those into two groups randomly, where 40 patients got their own cells back and 40 patients got nothing. However, we did make 80 vaccines, so the patient didn't know whether they were getting the vaccine or not. Well, after 2.5 years, the safety group, which is called the DSMB, which was appointed by the NIH, looked at our data, which was all blinded. I had no idea who got what, and really did not see any differences in the two groups, and that was by either MRI or clinically or in terms of their immunology. There was also some suggestion that some of the patients that got the vaccine may not have done as well. There were not enough of them, but the overall feeling was that this was an unsuccessful trial, which you can imagine after 15 years of study, we were a little disappointed in. But quite clearly, it did not work. So our T-cell vaccine work was discontinued. There are people who are still making T-cell vaccines using peptides, which are proteins, to make T-cells and putting those back in. I think, again, much like all the other treatments, the earlier you do these things, the more likely you're going to be successful. I still think it has some merit, but quite clearly we are not doing the T-cell vaccine. And the person who was in that trial, I hope that you're doing okay.
Thank you, Les. So I'm through about 2% of the questions. We're really going to have to rev up. Terry, a number of questions for you. How do you deal with the barrage of information and misinformation and advice? And what is it like to be in the public eye and have an illness?
It's okay. No one ever bothers me, but actually I'm not in the public eye. But it doesn't bother me, and it doesn't, you know, of course it does. I don't know.
Others may want to speak.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
And to be more specific with the question.
What do you do to careers?
I think most people, and this is not just famous people, but you fear your jobs, you know, how people are going to perceive the word multiple sclerosis. Because, first of all, when I was diagnosed, I thought it was muscular dystrophy. I really did. I had no idea what MS was. And it was, and I was like, first of all, it wasn't a denial thing. And I'm going to say this flat out. And this is the part that frustrated any neurologist who had me for a patient. And I seek out, when I go one layer deep, I try to go the next layer deep. And finding something out about anything, about cooking, about music, about spiritual world, everything. That's the way I go at it. When I was first diagnosed, I told you what I was told. But I told my neurologist, I've been telling my neurologist for 15 years, a box fell on my head. When I first saw him and he took the notes, he dismissed it completely. Every year I'd go in for the MRI and say, you don't understand. I have the same symptoms right now as I had after the box fell on my head. They're identical except for the double vision. No relation. What I want to see is neurologists find the specifics, because each one of you in this room, you're here about yourself, and you have different questions than I have. I want them to start untangling MS, and rather than it be grouped as multiple scars, I do believe, and I think these neurologists here believe, that there are different types of MS. But now, my doctor says, you know, there's something to that trauma thing. And they MRI'd my spine finally and found 2 gigantic lesions that had MS in them. And how do I deal with that every day? I'm frustrated because I don't feel that neurologists truly listen, because they're so used and immune to the problems that we tell them that we have. It's like a psychiatrist or a priest or anybody else listening to all our problems. So I believe that we have to get a stronger voice, and you being here, you are that voice. You're showing the human side to them, because these guys live inside labs. So this does them a lot of good. Short answer to the question, I'm just like you guys. Yes, I was afraid of the public perception. There are a whole lot more celebrities who have multiple sclerosis, and they won't come out of the closet about it, because they are afraid of their jobs. They are afraid of the perception as damaged goods. And, you know, I want to commend people like Nancy Davis, people like Terry Garr, and David, coming out as role models for everyone, not just celebrities, but it is important to get this voice out there. And you know something? Be demanding with your neurologist. You know, when I first got diagnosed, I treated them like God, because they're so smart. They truly are. But every now and then, they're missing something, or they already have a cure. You are significant, and even if you have to say it to your neurologist in the most elementary way, say it anyway. Make them write it down. One of these days they're going to put these things together and go, damn, we just listened back then. We might have had a little bit head start on this. So don't give up, and don't be ashamed of having MS. You're an example every day, and you have a testimony. I don't know.
That too, and I'll this for both ways. I think when people go to a doctor, they think the doctor knows how they feel, and nobody knows how you feel. And before you're going to your doctor appointment, if you just take the time to write down the 10 most important questions that you want your doctor to answer. Your doctor can't read your mind. He didn't know what happened last Saturday when you weren't feeling good and you had the flu. I think as a person, you think the doctor is gone, you know everything. And the more you can write down all your symptoms, all your things, and truly communicate, because I know every time I go to the doctor, if I don't write anything down, I forget half the things when I walk out the door. So be prepared and give your doctors the best shot of really diagnosing you fairly by writing everything down before you go.
You may be the cure. That's what I'm trying to say, is somebody in this room may have the answer, and it may be sitting right there like polio was. It may be right there.